FY23 has been the most profitable year for the banking sector. Profits of PSU banks and private banks were above rupees 1 lakh crore each. PSU banks saw a profit of 1.08 lakh crore in FY23, while private banks reported a profit of rupees 1.23 lakh crore. So this was on account of strong loan growth, higher yields and lower credit costs that you saw in FY23. Incremental loan growth in FY23 has been one of the best for the banking sector. This, coupled with the fact that rising interest rate, which meant that the banks charged higher rates on their loans while deposits were yet to get repriced, aided the net interest margin of the banks. Hence, better net interest margin, lower credit costs meant that the banking sector reported their highest yearly profit of about rupees 2.31 lakh crore. Talking about asset quality, it's the best in last 7-8 years for the banking sector, and for some banks it's the best in last 10 years. Now let's take a look at the Q4 FY23 performance. Slippages of the banking sector declined by 26.5% YOY and about 9.5% sequentially. PSU banks saw the slippages rise by 10.5% quarter on quarter, while private banks the slippages declined by nearly 25% quarter on quarter. Annualized slippage ratio for the PSU banks was at 1.3% when compared to 1.22% in the previous quarter, and for private banks it was at 1.75% versus nearly 2.5% in the previous quarter. Gross NPA ratio of the PSU banks were at 5.6% for FY23 when compared to 15.6% in FY18. For private banks it was at 2.28% in FY23 when compared to 7.92% in FY18. Net NPA ratio of the PSU banks was at 1.33% in FY23 versus 7.9% in FY18. For private banks it has declined to 0.55% in FY23 when compared to 2.4% in FY18. The restructured book of the banking sector declined by 31.8% YOY and about 13.5% quarter on quarter. It now forms just 1.27% of the loans when compared to 1.55% in the previous quarter. The restructured book declined quarter on quarter for PSU banks by 11.8%, while for private banks it declined by 18.6%. In terms of P&L performance, the operating profits grew by 27.3% YOY for the sector and about 2.9% quarter on quarter. For PSU banks it was up 29.3% YOY and about 2.85% quarter on quarter. For private banks it was up 25% YOY and about 2.9% quarter on quarter. Profit after tax for the banking sector was up 28.3% YOY, but it was down about 4.5% quarter on quarter. For PSU banks the profits were up 94% YOY and about 18.7% sequentially. For private banks it was down 11% YOY and about 24% quarter on quarter. Now this PAT for private banks was impacted by Axis Bank, which reported a net loss due to acquisition of Citi's retail business operations in India. X of Axis Bank, which had a one-off, PAT of the private banks was up 24.3% YOY and about 10% sequentially. In terms of outlook, the operational performance continues to remain healthy for the banking sector. Net interest margin can decline in coming quarters due to rise in cost of funds. The net interest margin decline is expected to be about 30 to 50 basis points in FY24 for large banks, and for mid and small banks anywhere between 50 basis points to 100 basis points in FY24. Return ratios likely to remain healthy for the sector. Some banks may look to raise capital in FY24, and loan growth rate expected to be lower in FY24 versus the 15% growth that you saw in FY23.